Good morning, everybody. So if you've been following this channel for very long, you've noticed us buy this old house that I live in now, and you've seen us renovate it over the years, and we've talked about it here on the channel. And if you watched my video on how I walled in my carport, well, this is the part 2 of that. It's been a while in the making. I've just been saving the footage as we went. And we're kind of to the point where I can make part 2. You saw the carport when it looked like this, and then now it looks like this. And I wanted to talk about what I learned going from there to here. We still got some things we got to finish on it, but it's almost there, and we had to kind of stop because I want to put a carport and the outside would wind up having to be altered a little bit. So this whole story began when little Jack was about to be born, and I needed a bathtub. Like Samantha said, we had to have a bathtub because little Jack was going to need a little bath, you know. Couldn't really do it in the shower. So I decided to wall this entire carport in to give us some extra space, little Jack a little playroom, kind of a getaway den away from the main part of the house. And we needed an extra bathroom. I had this carport, and the carport it needed renovation. It was kind of ugly. It was kind of an eyesore. Samantha's car still poked out a little bit. It was basically a carport from 1955. It had some wood rot, and the hurricane had kind of roughed it up a little bit. And I was like, you know what? I can fix that. And I think I could make this into a room. In the part 1 of this video series, I showed you how I did it. I basically just got a template for framing from YouTube and from Google. I went down to the building inspector and asked him what he wanted and what he was looking for. He told me really, use, some 16D or 16 penny nails, frame it right, call me and I'll come look at it. And if you messed it up, I'll tell you messed it up and you can keep going. So I pulled my permits and I went at it and I said, I'm going to document the process to let you guys know how hard really was it. And I learned a lot along the way, and it was really some of the best return on investment I've probably had is learning to work on this whole house. The things that contractors try to soak you on, some of the things that are really not that complicated, but you're just kind of scared to start. Those were the things I learned. I was able to carry that on to other houses I flipped in the future, and as a real estate agent, I had the hands-on knowledge of what is really going on in a lot of these renovations. See, this whole carport is really, what I was doing was nothing really structural. I wasn't like building columns. I wasn't really doing anything. The carport itself was there. It was stable. And yeah, I sistered a few rafters and double supported some things that I thought needed to be done. I put some hurricane clips on it, and I did all the strapping and bracing that it needed. And when I got the inspector out there, he looked it over and he was like, "You're good to go." And he issued my, rough framing inspection go, and he made me pull an electrical permit and some other stuff. But there was already electricity there, and it wasn't worth the debate. It cost me $50 to get the other things I needed. I did all the electrical work. Had the electrical inspector come back out. He really wasn't trying to hassle me. As a homeowner in my county, they give you a lot of flexibility. They really, put it back on you. They make you sign some affidavits saying that, hey, you're doing this work, you accept the responsibility, and which was kind of nice. I'm a fairly decent novice electrician. And so he came out, he looked at it, and I was like, it really took him about 30 seconds to look at all my wiring, and he just made sure that the wires were stapled right and the boxes were secure. And then when he came out for the last piece, he stuck a tester in it, and when it tested correct, he wasn't worried about it anymore. And so on and on with every part of the process, that was kind of the way it was. The inspector was pretty chill, nobody really hassled you. Once I got the carport walled in and the inspections were final, the property appraiser came out, and of course they wanted to raise my taxes because they knew that an AC would probably go in there, and of course they did. But, it wasn't that much. It was worth it. We didn't want to move. We didn't want to go to somewhere else. We like where we live. the house was old and it needed some things to be modern. And we had a footprint that really didn't need to be altered, just walled in and air conditioned. And that's what I did. Wound up, putting the bathroom in for little Jack. He needed a place to take his baths, and he got his place to take his baths. And Samantha did a great job tiling it. I mean, she worked real hard on it. Hardest part, I think, of the tiling was making sure the framing was straight, because that Home Depot Lowe's wood, when it dries out, it starts to kind of spaghetti. And getting tiled and the Schluter system to to anchor on it flush is really hard. You got to plane off the studs to make them completely flat. That was a real learning curve that I wish I would have done better at the beginning, but we got it done. We made it work. The putting in all the sinks and stuff is no big deal. I mean, it's just some PEX and some fittings, and I feel like a lot of stuff out there really tries to scare homeowners from doing basic plumbing work. Really, the only thing you got to worry about is flooding the place, but just get you a good PEX crimper, a PEX kit. Learn how to just crimp them together and you'll be fine. Learn some basic electrical work. You'll be fine. The electrical inspector is going to tell you if it's unsafe. And if you just go from point A to point B, it's not really that complicated. Black to black, white to white. And yeah, $40 electrician's kit and you can be dangerous. So you may be wondering, how much did this really cost me? I would say this whole project cost me, I don't know, between $3,000 and $5,000 to really cover the tile and the bathroom, the toilet, the tub, the, stuff, the sheetrock, the framing. Could I have done it cheaper? Yes. The goal was never really to make it really extravagant. It was just to make an extra space and to add on to our house. If we would have made it really perfect, it wouldn't have matched the rest of the house, because it's an old house. It's an old, 1945 Navy house. And we're not really extravagant people. We did the best we could. We accomplished our goal of making a living, nice livable space to watch TV and to have a bathroom for where the hot tub is and where outside areas, to where you didn't have to traffic through the house to get to the bathroom or in the house for anything really. It's a good place to take your shoes off and put your coats and just have a place for the exercise bike Samantha had, and that was really it. It accomplished that. It has been a good addition to our house that we use a lot. And you might be asking, what really was the hardest part? Getting the sheetrock up to the top of the ceiling was my hardest part. That 5/8 inch sheetrock that you use for ceilings is heavy. I had to get a lift from Home Depot, and without the rentals from Home Depot, it would have been really hard to do that. I was able to rent a lift and just run it up there and tack it in place, and I could do it by myself. The hard part was getting the sheetrock onto the lift by myself. Samantha helped me, and then she wound up going to bed one night, and I was bound and determined to get it all up, and I wound up figuring out how to get it up there myself, which it is possible. I just put it up the ladder in stages until I could get it on the lift. And the lift is heavy. I think it costs like $50 or $70 a day to do it. It took me about 2 days to get the sheetrock up. But the way I did it is every day I came home, I tried to accomplish one thing. Today we're going to nail. Tomorrow, or frame. Tomorrow we're going to nail. The next day we're going to, put the outside stuff up. The next day we're going to put, the sheet, do this part of the sheetrock. The next day we're going to mud the sheetrock. The next day, on and on and on and on and on. Once I got the outside of the building complete and it was weatherproof, well, then it was a lot easier. Once I got the AC in, it was game on, and I could work on it continuously as I needed it, because our add-on the AC didn't pump into that room very well because of the way the ducting system was done back in the 80s. So I wound up just stopping that AC vent and putting a mini split in. The mini split was the best investment of it all. It was the best, and like it's the future of AC. I think the mini split just hangs on the wall. You just wire it up like a 220 outlet, with it's got heat and AC, and it will do 700 square feet. The room is only like 400, so it does it and then some, which allowed that whole half of the house to become transformational as far as AC, because our food is in that room, and we were having food getting spoiled faster because the room stayed a little warmer. Now with that AC unit, it stays where you want it. 72 degrees, 72 degrees. Whether it's hot out or cold outside, doesn't matter. I went above and beyond insulating the ceiling before I sheetrocked, and insulating the walls. It's got lots of insulation, and with that giant fan that I put up, I got the biggest fan I could find at Home Depot and put it up, and it stays nice and cool in there. I would have put more lights in that room, but I put 2 lights in that room. It does fine, but if I were to do it again, I would put lots of can lights up. Like I put 2 in the bathroom, and you can get those little box can lights now that are really cheap, and they just connect up there and hang in the sheetrock, and no more doing junction box lighting. These things, you just cut the hole out in the sheetrock, boom, done. They just clip up there. It's amazing. Things that, make doing a room so much simpler now. There's so many products out there that allow you to do that recessed lighting simply and effectively and safely. Definitely check those out. See, we really just wanted a hangout spot, and that's what we got. Samantha needed a place for her little workout machine, and we wanted to keep the originality of the house with the old pillars and the brick wall, and because this thing is ancient, and I still got to finish this trim piece, but we just got to paint that and get all the remnants of working on this out. This is the mini split we had. Just got this from Home Depot and installed it. Super simple, and it works amazingly, and when it goes out, you just throw it out the door and get a new one. But little Jack's got a place for his backpack, and that's going in the new Airbnb. But got John Wayne on the wall because that was my dad's, and a big TV because that makes easy decoration. And runs off Wi-Fi and no need for cable. So this is where the carport's going to go right here. This entire thing will be covered. And hopefully the camper too, not sure. We'll see about that later, but this for sure. The inspector really wants to make sure it's safe, solid, and sound, at least in my area. And as a homeowner, you can work on your own house and pull your own permits. It's really not a big deal. That was probably one of the other big things, was the hearsay of worrying about the building inspector. I wanted to document this to say they really weren't a problem. They were actually pretty cool. I went down to the permit office. I sat down in front of them and said, what do I need to do X, Y, and Z? The biggest one, and I run into this a lot as a real estate agent, is when you're trying to alter the footprint of your house, like make it bigger. You got to make sure your setbacks and all these things are correct. But mine was the footprint was not changing. The structural integrity of it was not changing. They really just wanted you to permit it so they can tax you and to make sure it was safe and, hurricane worthy, because honestly, the hurricane will be hitting that wall. If we ever get another one, they wanted to make sure I had the proper hurricane clips and strapping, which they wound up making me kind of overstrap it to the point where I put so many nails in the wood that I wonder if the straps were worth it, because every time you put a nail in an end of a 2x4, I feel like it gets a little weaker and starts to splinter. But hey, I just did what he told me to do. Although I do want to say this about the permits. I think having to pull permits on your house, that's your house, is ridiculous, especially if you have paid it off, because there's so many things that that are simple that you should be able to do to your house. Like, it's your house. And I understand, like, safe, solid, and sound, not everybody knows how to do things, but if you do know how to do them properly, like, I shouldn't have to go down to the county and ask permission and then pay them to let me do something to my house. Like, I have a problem with that. I guess it's just, in my blood, but half the time they don't even come and really check on it anyways. And then, the building code changes like every year anyways. So, like, as long as a home inspector can pass it and nothing's going to burn down and you did it right, you should be fine. And I think that's the way it should be. I guess the real reason is it's a revenue producer for the county. Whether we like it or not, they're going to do it to us. And it just kind of is what it is. And then that way they can raise your taxes, because that's what they did to me. They got to raise my taxes. They got the permits and the inspection fees. And like when I built my fence, they made me pull a permit for my fence. And then they closed it out online and never even came and looked at it. And I got real frustrated with that. And, even when they come in and inspect a lot of things, when a contractor does it, half the time, they don't even go out. They just go ahead and sign off on it. Or they know the guy or whatever that did it, and they just sign off on it. I mean, I'm glad that they don't hassle you too much for it, but at the same time, I just felt like I paid the money and I should have been able to do it to my house anyways, because the footprint didn't change. Nothing really changed other than what I was doing inside my house. And it was very simple. Was it worth it? Absolutely. I've got a place to go in and have a little quiet time away from the family if I needed it. Little Jack's got a place to play with his toys and look out the door. We got a nice set of French doors that now make those fall days nice when I can just open the doors. Wound up putting a carport there to get the water from blowing in on that wall. That was another hard part, was making sure it was watertight. And you really need an overhang over French doors, because the water here during monsoon season, you're going to get water through doors if the rain is hitting those doors. Just FYI. But in the end, really what I've learned is the easiest money to be made in real estate is walling in carports and making them four-seasoned. Because if, let's say you got a 300 square foot carport and a price per square foot in your area is X, you're timing the square footage by the price per square footage, and you wind up making your house worth a lot more money. For me, 230 square feet times 300 square feet, do the math, the price of my house went up, 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 and by adding another bathroom, it went up, up, up. And I don't plan on going anywhere anyways, so I really don't worry about some home inspector's opinion on is it done right or not. I had the inspector look at it, I got my green sticker, and a lot of people out there don't understand the code, they don't understand. You can go and look these codes up. And if somebody ever tells you, well, that's code, go look it up. 90% of the people that tell you that's code have never read the code. And I will say that to contractors, I will say that to home inspectors, I'll say that to most of the people that want to quote the code to you. They've never actually gone and read it or looked at it. And when you do go and look at it, you realize there are exemptions and lots of different things that allow you to get around certain things. Just ask if the inspector is good with it and how he wants you to do it. Because once he puts that little sticker on there, you're pretty much golden. Most of the places in the state of Florida now, your permit's only going to be on there for 10 years anyways, and they're being whisked away. So now, if you don't have a permit tangible and it's been more than 10 years, well, good luck proving whether it was or it wasn't. And which I don't know how the permit office is going to get past that, because you're paying for something for permission, and then later some home inspector is going to argue whether you even had permission, and then here we are. But everything I did was not that hard. It was one YouTube video away. Then if you are questionable about that, ask the inspector. All you got to do is call him. And that goes for just about everything. Even if you wanted to put in your own hot water heater or gas HVAC system, or or gas furnace, HVAC system, really anything but a roof. Like, roofs aren't complicated, but they take a lot of labor and muscle. But laying flooring, doing the cosmetic stuff, doing tiling, doing basic wiring, basic plumbing, like, you're totally capable of doing it. There's plenty of information on the internet to accomplish just about anything you want to do. So just lean forward in the foxhole and look it up, ask some people, figure it out, and you can really go a long ways. This was basic framing, basic electrical, basic plumbing, and we had to take out a partition wall, but it was just sheetrock and like 3 studs. It was not structural, and if you do have a question of whether it is structural, we'll ask a professional. Make sure you know before you take it out, because we've done one of those too. Take one of those out by accident and it could come down on your head. But hopefully that doesn't happen. I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment down below, and I hope this helped. Go watch that first video and you'll see how I framed it and how I kind of thought through it, and I'll see you later.